fathers had intended, right? But the interesting thing is it's to promote science. It's to promote science to improve economies, to improve the burden of people, to advance the entire society. And that the second thing is that patents are owned by authors and inventors. That we are the owners. That it is for us. It's to protect us. And the third is that it's an exclusive right. That what the government is providing is exclusivity for us to take this idea, own it, and go make money and recoup costs and spend more money on technological advancement and move our products into the future, right, and improve the human condition. So that's what was intended. So just to be perfectly clear, a patent is a government-sanctioned monopoly. And you might say, well, Eric, that can't be true because monopolies, they're not legal, except for when the government grants them, they are, right? So the government-sanctioned monopoly is okay. It's a limited time, 20 years from the date that you file the patent. It's intended to be a teaching tool. In a patent, there are two, in the specification, there are two critical, well, there's more than two, but two of the main critical criteria that must be met is that you provide the best mode, the best way that you know how to solve the problem, and that you enable people to go reduce this to practice. So that you understand what the best, at the time of filing, the best mode, by the way, at the time of filing, the best idea you have, and how to do it. So that in the future, these people, when the patent expires, they can go look at the patent, figure out how to do it, and move it into the future, and everybody can take advantage of this wonderful thing that you created, and everybody can make it. Right? So the one skilled in the art, now this is a fictitious person. I'm not going to talk a lot about this person. You can go find books about one skilled in the art. He's a character we'll need to pay attention, but not today. And owned by inventors. That they're owned by inventors just about everywhere in the world except for in the United States and Canada, where when you join a corporation, the first thing they'll have you do is sign away your patent rights. That's the first thing I did. And you go, hey Eric, here's a big check, right? You got to sign this. So that's the first thing you do is you sign away your rights to the corporation, so that the corporate entity, which is considered a person in the sense of the government looking at corporations, they think the corporation is a person, and so that person, that corporation, owns the rights to the patent. That's cool. All right. I mentioned before that patents can be a tricky business, and one of the things I'm going to stay away from, philosophical discussions on patents, and I'm going to focus on not what the value of the patent is. We could argue all day, right? And neither one of us would be. It's very hard to say that the value of an idea is X dollars. But what you can, in certain cases you can. For example, if there's a small company that's, is producing products and its sole product is around the patent, you can say what the value of that is. But in general, it's very hard to define a value for a patent. And so what I'm going to talk about is when is a patent valuable is an interesting question. And the first thing is that a market has to exist for the idea. That there has to be, you have to provide value to a customer. If there's no value for the customer, then what's the value of the patent? Nobody wants to buy it. There's no market for it. There's no market for this idea. There's no value in the patent. The second is that, and they kind of go side by side, I put them side by side for a reason, is that the government protection and competition. If there's no government protection and there's competition, why are you filing a patent? Right? You're not protected. You're not protecting any of your ideas. There are places in this world where you can go, right? I'm not going to name names. There are countries in this world where you go and there's no protection. You can file patents there. You go into the courts of law, and everything gets thrown out because somebody there is making it. And so it has to be that you have government protection. It's a government-sanctioned monopoly. If there's no government, there's no monopoly. And the second, or the third, is the competition. If there's no competition, if you're the only person in the world who can make it, but there's no competition, then why do you need a patent? Maybe in the future you need a patent, but maybe you don't need a patent. So if you don't have these things, then there's not a lot of value to a patent. So I mentioned that I think patents are financial. People make the decisions of a patent, and it's a financial decision for a person or an organization. And so I want to provide you with some information as to how much a patent costs. So patents cost approximately $30K over the lifetime if you get a US patent. And you're like, well, Eric, that's not true. I went to the USPTO and I saw that I can file things for much lower cost. Well, what you don't know is that, yeah, okay, there's a $10K up front. A lot of people quote a $10K up front for drafting of the application if you go hire a patent lawyer to do this. Now you can do this yourself. It's much cheaper. It's approximately $15K to get in the door. So you drop $15K, it's gone, you're in the door, it's filed. So then it goes, the patent goes into the USPTO, and they say, hey, wait a second, this is not allowed, guaranteed, first time it comes back, with several what they call office actions, which basically you can't patent this because of this and this. And you say, and you grab your attorney and you say, no, Mr. Patent Examiner, that's not true. Here's my ideas, and I refute this. This is not true. And they come back and they say, okay, well, there's one left. There's a new one now we didn't think of before, and it's this one. And you grab your patent attorney and you're filing money at him, right? And you go back and you win, and it's allowed. Right? This is the game we play, and this is, I'm serious, by the way. I'm not joking around. And you get a patent and you're $23,000 in the hole. Dang, that's a lot. Okay? If I just kept my $23,000, I could buy a nice, microscope, and I could probably produce more. So I'm $23,000 in the hole, and then over the lifetime, it's like 7.5, 9, 15, or so. There's some time scale. You end up spending another $7K. But the trick is that, and you hear this statement all the time, but it's a global economy. I'm in the world. I'm selling my things all over the world. And so the real multiplier is this one, right? It's the 25,000 per country, and okay, there's PCT and European and China and Taiwan, and you go into these things, you pay these, you pay to get protection after a year of it publishing, and you pay for this protection with the PCT, and then you go from here to there, and then you have to nationalize, and you're translating, and everybody's got different fee structures, because guess what? Patents are also income generating for countries, right? So the country's saying, well, those patent lawyers are making money, we should probably make some money too. And it costs, we have to run our courts, you see, Mr. Inventor, and so it gets very expensive, right? It's not uncommon to pay $250,000 for a patent. Wow, that's a lot of $250,000, right? I can't fathom $250,000. I mean, if I just had $250,000 once, here you go. This idea is worth it, okay? So potential patent returns. I pulled this one up because this guy, Robert Kearns, is an interesting guy. He did the intermittent windshield wiper. It's actually a famous patent because Ford, Chrysler infringed, and he was the little guy who could, and so he fought in the patent courts, and he was even his own lawyer, and he fought and he won. And he won $40 million. But guess what? This is one of 7.5 million patents, by the way. If you go look and you look at the patent numbers now, they're very large numbers. And so the probability of you getting this return is not that likely, right? Right now, currently, there are approximately 2.5 billion patents in play. If you integrate the number of patent filings per year, and you go integrate, right, 20 years back, you find there's approximately 2.5 billion patents active in the United States only. I'm not talking international, I'm just talking in the United States. Are there 2.5 million novel ideas? Well, that's another question. But, okay. Again, patent basics. There are three main types of patents. There's a utility patent, design patent, and a plant patent. They break them up into these three categories. The utility is usually where we play. Design is like industrial design style stuff, and the plants, of course, corporate plants. Most engineering activity happens inside of the utility. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay design and plant. I'm just saying that you will likely, if you file a patent, you will likely be filing utility patents. If you look to Section 101 of the U.S. Patent Act, you'll find that there are 4 main subject categories. Now, it kind of changes now. There's business methods and software and these things. But if you look to the Patent Act, it says, look, if you've got a process, a machine, an article of that's manufactured, or a composition of matter, then these are the subject categories which we will put the patents in. So this is where we file utility.